So how to build an airlock. If you go to the construction supplies 2 crate, you'll find a number of items that you need for the airlock. So start by taking the consoles and the active vent. On this side, I always place the console in the middle. I press C until the power is at the bottom, and I place the active vent at the top, making sure that the gas is pointing upwards and the power is pointing downwards. At this point you can weld that frame closed, but I'm going to leave it open because it's slightly easier to see what I'm going to do with this pipe work in a moment. So I'm going to pick up the pipes, and I'm also going to pick up the sensor kit. So I'm going to place, first of all, the sensor kit, and I'm going to place that on the same level as the console because that will save cable. I'm going to rotate so the connector's at the bottom, and then I'm going to use the mouse wheel to scroll through from daylight through motion to gas sensor, and then I'm going to place the gas sensor. Next, I'm going to switch to the pipes. Now, what I'm going to do with the pipes is I'm going to place a corner pipe, and again I'm going to use the C button just to toggle through, and that goes, it's at that angle, and it goes connecting to there, so it's yellow because it's connected and turning a corner here. I'm then going to take the next piece of gas pipe, and I'm going to, staying on a corner, rotate it that way round so it comes down here, and the final corner coming down here. And I don't need any more pipes, and at that point I can seal this frame, but before I do, I'm going to show you from a different direction where that pipe goes. So it goes right around the edge corner of that frame. The reason for doing that is that we can pass power cables and pipes through the top corner once we place the doors, but we can't place them through the bottom, and we can't place them through the sides. The sides, it's obvious because the doors need to slide somewhere. The bottom corner is just a game restriction. So now we need to place the doors. And we'll also, whilst we're here, take the airlock circuit board. So the airlock circuit board is super easy. Just point at the console and click and place that in the middle. Now the doors, what we're going to want to do is we're going to switch the doors, right click to place. Now doors have a number of different configurations. So the first thing we're going to do is going to spin them round so they're facing with the power and the data connections pointing inwards. That's really important for when we do the wiring. It will require a lot less wire to do it this way. You have multiple choices here. Glass door is the first option. You can go through composite door. Glass or composite doors are both fine for the airlock. That's really personal style. It will slightly change the ratio of plastic sheets and glass sheets you need to finish them, but they're both fine. The glass door's a bit more practical because the opening, as you can see, is somewhat larger for moving things in and out. However, if you prefer the composite doors, that's okay. What I don't recommend, first of all, is the composite roll cover, which is wholly unsuitable. It is not passable, so you cannot move through it if you place it there. It's useful for placing on walls in a configuration a bit like it's going to here if you want to hide circuitry or other things, but it's not suitable to use as a door. And then the fourth option is manual hatch, which you could place, and that would be a viable solution, but I don't recommend it for your primary airlock. You'll spend a lot of time manually opening and closing it. So switch to glass door, place one facing inwards like this, then double tap delete so the other one is facing it with its connections also pointing inwards. So once you've placed both of those, we'll need to complete, first of all, the wall. So I'm going to take the welder and I'm going to weld that wall. I'm going to turn the welder off, and we don't need these sheets again. Now the first thing you notice is you can see the atmosphere particles moving through this airlock. It's now the only way for gas to move in and out of this structure, and it can get quite hot, so be very cautious welding inside. The next thing we will do is we're going to pick up these glass sheets and we'll complete that console, and I'm going to just drop them in there because we're now going to go and get the plastic sheets off the lander. So we find the plastic sheets in the construction supplies 1 crate, pick them up, and switch to the welder and weld both of those glass doors. Now you can really see the atmosphere moving through. We'll leave these plastic sheets here because we're going to need them later, and the next thing we're going to do before I install the glass sheets to complete these doors is we're going to complete the cabling. In fact, I'm going to remove those glass sheets there because it will make it easier to see. Right, so the cabling, the first thing to notice is on this side we've got 3 devices that we need to connect up. You may be wondering why the wiring comes in this side or is aligned to this side, but the devices are all over here. And that is because what we're going to do is use that other area power controller to provide a battery backup to keep the airlock working if the main power supply fails. But the first thing to do is let's just get these connected. So this will need to be a 4-way junction. Place a corner in here. Corner in here. You can save 1 wire by moving that vent down if you wish. Straight in there. Then next we'll place a corner here. Junction. A junction in that direction. Junction in that direction. Straight. And a corner. Straight. And a junction. I need to remove a bit of rock there. Then we're going to bring a corner up here. So you can see we're starting to get through quite a lot of cable. I'm going to bring that there, and then I'm going to leave a gap. And then I'm going to put another cable here. And then I'm going to put a corner facing that way. Now the reason I'm doing this is, as I mentioned, we can run the cable, if I turn it sideways so it's easier to see, we can run the cable through that top corner if we wish. We could do the same on this side, but we can't run it through any of the lower parts of the door, including the bottom. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to run that up here. We're going to connect that there. That's left us with 15 cable. Now we need 4 for the auto lathe, so that means we have 11 cable in total to connect everything else we need over this side, which is quite tight, but it is possible. Next we're going to take this power controller and we're going to place it here. We're going to press C to rotate it so that the power's coming in from the top and going out through the bottom, and we're going to place that. And we'll open the cover on that and turn it on. Okay, so at this point we have the power connected through. Let's just double check we haven't missed any connections anywhere. Okay, that looks good. So flick that there. And we should be able, there we go, to turn these on. Okay, so first of all, this is saying error in config. That's fine. So we don't need to worry too much about that, because what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab the data disk off the lander, and we're going to use that to configure that console. So we've placed the data disk in the slot there, and now it's gone into setup mode. The next thing we need to do is grab those glass sheets, stand inside the airlock, equip a crowbar, and click to complete those doors. Now I always recommend having the power on before you do that. Let's just put those down there so that you can open and shut the doors if you need to. Now at the moment you'll see this isn't much of an airlock, because although you could use it, you have to actually manually turn everything on and off. But we're about to fix that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to match this up to the devices we need. So the minimum you need for an airlock is a gas sensor, which we have here, and luckily that's showing there. An active vent to pump air in and out, which we have there. That's easy. And 2 doors. Now the problem with the 2 doors is you'll see initially they both say exterior. Now if I click on one, you'll see that one says exterior, the other one now says interior. But it's not obvious which is which until you look around and see that the door that I've linked up is now locked and has gone red. So this is the door that it thinks is exterior, and therefore this door by default must be the interior. Obviously that's backwards. Good luck trying to pressurize all of space. So what we do is we click it again, we choose the other door, and if you see that padlock going red, that's the exterior. This is now labeled as interior. So if I then click that, that's now also locked. That indicates it's now under control of this console. And then if we pull out the configuration disk, I can just drop that on the fuel. Then let's cancel pressurize because there's no gas to pressurize. You'll see the interior door has opened. If I then cycle to exterior, it will then attempt to depressurize, which should take no time at all, and the doors open. That is a functional airlock. Congratulations.